confident person.
Hmm.
So today I have my dear friend Leticia Escamilla with me. She was on my podcast not long ago, and I met her about a year ago, right? And
Yeah.
we have been on this public speaking journey together. First time we met in person was in actually Las Vegas. That's her home base. And we did a workshop together about how to give unforgettable presentation or something like that. Anyhow, since then we've been like supporting each other on a regular basis. And I have personally witnessed Leticia transformed from, like when it comes to public speaking, right? Everybody, we know that's number one fear of the Americans. And the fear is bigger than death. And most of us wanted to become this confident speaker. And Leticia herself, and me included, both of us have really experienced this transformation journey from someone who didn't feel that confident, had self-doubt, to today, he or she recently, we both are part of the National Speaker Association, different chapters. She's in her Vegas chapter. I'm in my South Florida chapter. And we had a storytelling contest a few weeks ago. And both of us participated. The competition was fierce because, right, our peers are all professional speakers.
Right.
And we're fairly new. We're the new kid in the block. And I've really been doing it seriously for like a year, and you more or less so as well. And then you won the first place.
Yes.
And yes, congratulations. And I won the second place. I'm very proud of
congrats.
that.
Yes,
Exactly. And before while we were preparing for the contest, and we provided feedback, we sent videos to each other, we provided feedback to each other, and I saw how much work Leticia put in to this preparation. And I told her, I said, Leticia, you're going to win. Because based on what I've seen in my chapter, there are many talented speakers, but guess what? Not everybody put in the effort to prepare. Preparation is how much work, how the commitment you put in is the key. And obviously you need to have powerful story. Everybody have powerful story, right? It is really how you really tell that story, how much work you're willing to put in to really make it excel versus just good, right? Good enough. And anyhow, so today we're going to really talk a little about our learning, right? Our personal, this lived experience of how to transform from this shaky, little bit doubting and fearful speaker to today this confident speaker. And I felt all the principles and of this journey is the same to apply every area of our life. Okay, so Leticia, what are some of the what helped you? What has helped you to really experience this transformation?
Yeah, I actually feel called to take you back a little bit, Coco. I don't know if you know this. You might know this, but I had a career a little shy of 10 years in the radio industry. And so very early on in my career and life, I knew I wanted to use my voice to share a message. And so I wanted to go into radio. And that was my dream. And that's all I would talk about. And things just aligned for me to have this beautiful career in radio. And on air, I wanted to be an on-air personality. That was the goal, so I could use my voice, because I just really felt like those that were speaking on air were able to influence and able to make change and really use their voice for good. And so I was like, okay, I can do that. So I was working at a radio station here in Las Vegas. It's a hip hop station. It's still around to today. And I was around toxic people. These people were very toxic, including those that were in charge. And I remember just the grueling comments. They were supposed to kind of quote unquote mentor and help me be a better speaker, help me be better at this craft. And it was just always, a sense of putting me down, making me feel worse. I remember one time my boss said, you know what, you probably need to take a shot before you go on air just to loosen up. And I never forgot that. And I was like, what? Like, I definitely don't want to do that. She was encouraging me to basically drink before going on air. And in the radio industry, there are a lot of things going on at the actual station. There was alcohol, there was, all the things happening. We don't need to go into that. But it was very toxic. It wasn't about helping us be better. It was, I don't honestly know what it was. It was just their egos. It was their perceptions just kind of rolled into all of this. But it was such a fun time. So fast forward, that really gave me a different type of thick skin going into it. There were moments I was still scared of doing it. I even thought about, like, do I need to take a shot to be better? Like, what do I need to do? But how I got from there to here was just allowing myself to stay determined and stay the course, even though I would get off course and then I'd get back on course. And, what helped me get on course and stay on course was mindfulness. And that's why I teach mindfulness and speak on mindfulness now, because that's what kept me aligned. That's what kept me focused. That kept me realizing what's working, what's not working, being around the right people instead of the wrong people. So that was the journey. And recently, when you and I met a year ago, and even before that, because I started the coaching and all that a little before you and I met, is what I realized was, one, being around the right people and allowing myself to be coachable and actually learn this craft. And like you said, right, like we're talking about speaking in general as one topic, but this is for anything that you want to do. If you're getting this calling to do something and be better at something, whether it's speaking, whether it's whatever it is for you, allow yourself to go into it and be the student. That's something that's really helped me even now. Like, I've been speaking for 2 years, which is not that long. I continue to be a student, and yes, I've won a competition, but it doesn't, I celebrate, it's fun, and then you still got to do the same work that got you there. Well, you got to do that work and then more, actually. And so that's what's really helped me, is staying determined, not letting fear take over, because speaking or any kind of, going after any goal or dream is scary, because we don't know what it's like to be, what that road will look like. We don't know what it's like to achieve that goal, all the things. So allowing myself not to be in fear of it and have fun with it, embrace it. So when there is quote unquote failure, just embrace it, take it as a learning lesson, and have the right people around you. That's why I'm so grateful for you, Coco. Because we instantly connected at that event. It was like a 2-day, or actually a 3-day
3
event.
days.
Yes, 3 days, long days. We'd go have lunch together every day. We would connect, and and then ever since, I think we've seen each other at least once a month ever since then, maybe like one or twice. That's a big commitment, to see like someone you just meet, to see them once a month, or actually every week. We were meeting every week.
There were a few months we were seeing each other every week.
You're right.
Yes.
Every week for almost a year, for like about 6 months. And it was having that accountability. It was having that person that was like-minded, that wasn't here to judge, that wasn't here to be like, have their ego show up. It was like, hey, this is where I'm at. And we got to watch each other grow and help each other. And that definitely helped me be better, because when you were like, hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm like, oh, okay. And I was celebrating with you, but it also gave me the energy to be like, okay, how do I apply that to where I'm at and what I'm doing? Because you were doing it differently, I'm doing it differently. We saw things aligned, but then you would say, hey, I'm going to do it this way, and I'd be like, oh, okay, I'm going to do it that way. But it was the energy exchange that was happening that kept me, and continues to keep me, motivated in everything that I'm doing, not just the speaking. So that might have been a long-winded, Coco, but I feel like I wanted to take everyone back, including you, to see kind of like where I've started to get to this place. Because you've only met me at a certain point of the journey, and the journey is so much even longer than that. And there's still so much ahead.
100%.
So I would say to wrap that up is, to go for it, to not let your fear get in the way. You're gonna mess up. If you're a beginner at something, even if it's something you've been working on for a while, you're gonna have moments where you mess up, where you quote unquote fail. I'm not a huge word of failure, but the idea of it not going the way you planned, right, is really what quote unquote failure is, right? It didn't go the way I planned or I wanted it to, but what can we take from that and continue to keep going from there? And to have the right people around you to support you, those that are already doing it, that are a little bit ahead of you in what you want to do, and then those that are also working towards it, that you guys can come together and see what they're working on, what you're working on, and brainstorm just like we did. So that would be some of the ideas that I would want to share, or have people take away with just when it comes to speaking or whatever goals you're working to attain.
Yeah, 100%. I love it. I resonated so strongly. And I feel like you said a few things I just wanted to emphasize. It's critically like important. It first is the environment. Environment matters a lot.
Yeah.
A lot, right? You talked about the toxic environment you were in versus now you have found, you have surrounded yourself with people who are supportive of you. What's the difference? Because I feel like same thing when I was in a corporate world, also very toxic environment, even though my main focus wasn't speaking, but just as a human being in general, right? People there in general were not to lift you up, but somehow put you down. And it's very important what this supportive means. I just felt I didn't even know what, because I was never in a supportive environment growing up, right? It's not just in the radio environment. Imagine when you were younger, probably you didn't experience much of that kind of supportive environment either. I personally never had that. I never had that. I had small moments of few people kind of supporting me along the way, but in general, the bigger environment wasn't. It just was very critical, always, so that I didn't feel safe, right? So much people afraid of public speaking, or just in general afraid of putting themselves out there to pursue something bigger and bolder. It's because they didn't feel safe, right? They didn't feel safe. They were, people gonna judge me. People gonna think I'm an idiot if I didn't do it well, if I fail, right? It's just because it's really coming from all the way from childhood. And so because of that, the environment just so afraid to make mistakes. And especially public speaking is the most visible way, right? All the other things, it is somehow you do project, you can fail on your own, only a couple of people gonna see it, but like public speaking, holy moly, right? That's why it's the number one fear of pretty much everyone. And so the supportive environment, it is not everybody just like saying how great you are all the time. Right? It's not that at all. It is really first is people have the intention of helping you grow, but in a very caring and kind way. And we receive, right? I give you critical feedback. You give me critical feedback, right? The feedback is so direct. But guess what? You feel safe with me. I feel safe with you because you know how much I care about your growth. And the feedback I give you, we give each other coming from a place of helping you grow, and also deliver in a way that is direct, but it's kind. It's very kind, right? Doesn't make you feel bad about yourself. Also, you truly learn something from the feedback. And it's like, oh yes, that's true. I can improve this. I can do that. Also, you know what I mean? That's really what supportive is. Supportive is not just always, oh my God, you're amazing.
Right.
No, that's not supportive.
Yeah. And it's funny you say that, right? Because growing up, that's kind of what I received. I wasn't criticized or judged, it is, my family, it was kind of like, you can do anything. It was like very fluffy. It was very fluffy.
Not grounded.
Not at all. And I feel like it was just something they said because that's what they, that's what they saw other people saying that appears to be motivating for someone. but then they weren't doing any of it, right? They weren't doing
Mm-hmm.
it. They weren't being the example. And because they weren't doing it, they weren't really able to know how to show you the concrete structural strategy, you know, all the ways of being grounded and actually what it takes to get there. So like, yes, you can have it all. All your dreams can come true, right? The fluffy can happen, but then you have to come down from the cloud and get back on the ground and be like, okay, well, what do I got to do to make those dreams come true? Because there are some steps you need to take.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, so to your point, that's exactly how I remember my childhood. It was very fluffy. And
Yes.
so
Yeah.
I grew up very kind of fluffy. I grew up kind of feeling like, okay, like it's possible, but not really knowing how to make
How?
it possible. And it
Yeah.
wasn't until like my 30s, because I just entered my 40s. So I'm in chapter 40 now.
Yes.
But it
Congrats.
was in my 30s that I finally started to realize, like, oh, this is how you have to take action. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
this is how you have to like have structure and do things. And you
Mm-hmm.
actually have to fail forward and allow yourself to try it and go, okay, now I know what that feels like. I know what it feels like to, you know,
Yeah.
stumble on this or actually just full on fall in that. And what it feels like to get back up, right?
Yeah.
Get back
Yeah.
up and brush yourself off and be like, okay, cry it out, whatever it is, and then move on. So
Mm-hmm.
that's been something else too,
Yeah.
that I've learned as well. And to your point, right? Speaking is very vulnerable. So you have to allow yourself to, if you are looking specifically to be more of a speaker in any sense, it's being vulnerable. As
Mm-hmm.
soon as I allowed myself to be vulnerable and put myself out there, share the stories, that definitely helped me, one, realize like we're all the same. You know, there's nothing like,
Mm-hmm.
and you can attest for this, Coco, after you tell your story or after you've done a presentation and you have people come up to you and say like, oh, I really resonated with that, or I really enjoyed that, or, you know, so it's kind of that confirmation of like, oh, okay, like people are, you know, are experiencing what you're experiencing or what you've experienced, or they really did need to hear that message, right? Because sometimes you don't know. So that's also nice too, is like once you put yourself out there, people instantly gravitate towards you because they're like, wow, like she put herself out there, because not everyone's willing to do it, you know? And so
Yes.
that's something
Yes. Yes.
I've realized too, is that by you stepping up on stage in any form of a stage, you know, people are going to look and they're going to pay attention. And then if it's something you really want to do as a craft, it's now learning how to be good at that craft. And that's something
Mm-hmm.
that you and I, that's where we connected on, is we were like, okay, how do you get good at this craft? It's like an artist, right? It's like someone who wants to play the guitar and they're like, all right, I kind of get it. But if they really want to be this great musician, they got to go find, you know, a music teacher, a guitar teacher, to really teach them about the chords and the music, and, you know, to really hone in on that craft.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I definitely recommend anyone do, especially when it comes to speaking, because there's a lot more to it, like anything, than what it appears.
Mm-hmm.
Just these little things that can just make your presentation stand out a little bit more, make your story be more impactful, as you know, right? So getting
Mm-hmm.
coached, learning from others that have done it, have been doing it for a long time, is very important. And that's something I didn't really like understand when I was in my 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Was like these mentors or getting people, was like, no, I can do it myself, I can learn myself, or, you know, and realizing like, no, like it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to have people who, you know what they're doing, actually teach you how to do it and work with you to do it better. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yes. Yes. 100%. Exactly. I just felt like there's so many so many things, but what you touch upon, it is really this commitment, right?
Yeah.
Commit to greatness. Commit to greatness. When you really wanted to do focus on mind or on something, and you really need to make this commitment to be great at it. And what does that mean? Commitment, it is that it's first, it's a craft. It's a craft, meaning it's a skill. It's a skill that you can master.
Yeah.
And that is learning from the best. Learning from the best, right? We were in the workshop, we were learning from some of the best like speech coaches, speaking
Yep.
coaches.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I even, right, I hired one-on-one coaching, right? You recommended that coach, and I worked with him for a few months, and just like took me to the next level.
It
And
really
then
did.
Right? Yeah, you
I was
really
so I
did.
was so like inspired by it. I was like,
Uh-huh.
oh my gosh, like wow.
Exactly. It's like it's so much it is the investment in yourself, right? The
Mm,
time and energy and money to invest in yourself. Say, you
yeah.
know what? I deserve to be great and I want to be great and I want someone to help me to get there.
Yeah. It's so funny you say that, Coco, because I just did that recently. Like yesterday, I paid two invoices to two different people for that exact, for what you just said, investing in myself to get
Mm-hmm.
better at this craft, to get
Mm-hmm.
better, to be better organized, right? Whatever it is,
Yes.
like it, and it felt so good to pay those
Mm-hmm.
invoices because normally I would have, paid the fluffy things like I want to rebrand my website, or I want to change, the colors of my logo or something.
Mm-hmm.
And, going, and when I was in business, because I started my first business 9 years ago, I think now. And so those were the things I thought about were important. And now I'm like, no, like I don't like whatever it is now, like it can stay like that. It's not going to really determine my business or me growing. It's like, how good am I at what I do?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like
Yes.
that's what people are paying for. They're not paying for the color of my logo, right? They're
Exactly.
paying like, can this girl come in and do what she said she's going to do, and even more? And so, yes, investing in yourself
Mm-hmm.
is huge.
Huge.
And even if you don't have the money for it right now, you know, investing in the time and energy to find it on YouTube of how to get better at it, right? Whatever that. So public speaking, if that's what we're talking about, there's I used to watch two different people, I can't remember their names, about public speaking before I could actually afford to put myself in different workshops and coaching and things like that. And they were teaching me about storytelling and teaching, and it was right there on YouTube University,
Mm-hmm.
for
Mm-hmm.
free, and using that. And all you're giving up is some time, which is very valuable. But if it's something that you really want to
But
learn and get
yeah,
better at, then that time is being used wisely. And
exactly.
so, and then save up money to be able to then invest in someone that you can actually speak to and talk to, and then learn even more. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
investing in yourself is so huge. I'm glad you
Yes,
brought that up.
exactly. I would say the most important thing, it is actually do the work. Is
Mm,
do the work, right? You can have people who supporting you, have mentors, have coaches, you can have
yeah, that's true
all
too.
of that. You can acquire, I call it, that's knowledge acquisition. So many of us actually so good at acquiring knowledges. I have friends, they listen to podcasts, they watch YouTube videos all day long, but when it comes to reality, they are not really applying most of the knowledge they learned.
Yeah,
And I feel
that's
like
true.
really made a difference for you and me. We be able to grow so fast in a short period of time. It's because our willingness to acquire the skill, meaning do the work.
Yeah,
Do the work,
so true.
right? The work is grueling. Trust me, right? It's not fun a lot of times, right? We
Yeah.
make it fun. Especially looking back, it's like, oh, so rewarding, so gratifying. But during the process, and I remember every time, right, just for the speaker association, that contest, that
Yeah.
speech, that speech, how many times I have practiced, how many times I got feedback. You got even more feedback than I did because I didn't have much time. And even just within the week of like 3-4 weeks, I've got like I revised the speech at least 5-6 times and practice. And this, right, also is like only 5 minutes, even though it's short. 5 minutes, actually it's harder the shorter the speech is,
Yeah.
actually the harder it is, because you need to condense, you have all the information, like only the
Yes.
most essential. Every word matters. You cannot have one extra word
Yeah.
because you're going to get disqualified, even just
Every
once.
breath matters. Even
Every breath matters.
uh,
Exactly. How much you
and then
pause matters,
yes, yes.
right? It's like,
Yeah.
just use that example. Obviously, there's so many other speeches I've done, but just use that as an example. It's like hours and hours and hours. That's why, right? I saw some really talented speaker. They didn't deliver as good of a speech. It's not because, right, talent is because of effort. It's effort. It's just you and me putting more effort than they did. That's it.
Yeah. It's so
And
true.
right, it's like you that is a muscle, the absolute muscle. And were there times I'm like, oh my God, I just don't want to do it? Absolutely, there were times. But it was, for me, it's like eyes on the prize. It's not about winning. For me, it's really the process of becoming, right? I want to become a great at this craft. I want to be great at this thing. That's my identity, right? I just want to be someone who can do this hard thing. I just want to become someone who's used to suck at this, and now people look up to her saying, oh wow, she's amazing. You know what I mean? It's more for internal. Anyhow, so it's like, it's a process of me becoming. I want to become this better version of myself. Then I'm willing to sacrifice my short-term freedom for my long-term vision, long-term freedom. Yes, I want your take on that too, because I know you have done a lot of hard work.
Oh yes, and funny enough, I have to get back into it again because I won. I'm now in regionals. So I have to work on it again. And I actually met with my coach that NSA National assigns you, and so he gave me he totally changed certain parts of the story, which you're going to get to hear because I'm definitely going to be connecting with you to be like, okay, here's the new version. So yeah, I have a month to prepare for it and resubmit the video to enter into the regionals to hopefully get on the influence stage, the big stage, which I feel really good about. But yeah, to your point, I got to put that work back in. Exactly what I did before, I have to do it again and even more, right? I have to go back and be like, okay, can you watch it? Can you take time with me? Can you look at this? To everyone I have access to, which being in these different pods, I guess, or organizations or associations, I have those people that I can connect to. But to go back to what you were saying is, the commitment, yes, it's so important. And I was thinking about when I shared a little bit of my story of my childhood, was that I wasn't taught how to commit in the way that you really have to commit to be able to achieve your goals, right? My family was just like, hey, get this done and get by, right? Do your homework and, get a good grade so you can pass. It wasn't like get the A, it was get the grade to pass, right? So, and I was actually a pretty good student just in general, but there are some C's in there. So I was an AB, little tiny C student, but that's how I was taught. It wasn't commit and really put in the work. Now, with that said, it's also not about putting a lot of pressure on yourself either. I would say give yourself grace, give yourself the opportunity to be that student, to work, to build on what you're doing. When I first started, in speaking, I was just watching, because of the program that Coco and I were a part of together, there was a lot of videos to watch. So that first step for me was, let me watch all these videos that had this knowledge, and I had a presentation that I could work through. And every time I got inspired by what I was learning in the videos, I would just make little tweaks to the presentation, and then I would go to Toastmasters and try it out, or I was getting opportunities to go speak and I would try it out. So that was my way of staying committed. And I would watch these videos almost every single day though, and I found a way for it to work with my schedule, to work with where I was, so that I could be committed. But that was it. It was just like, okay, watch these videos, and then it grew on there, right? Okay, now let's attend these workshops and really be in these containers for 3 days. 3 days, what was 9 to 4, we were in those workshops. And that's that's for 3 days. So to Coco's point of sacrifice was I couldn't run my business. I couldn't, have any workshops for my own clients on those days. I couldn't do anything else besides block off that time frame to go be a student. And so, but I'm so glad I did. It got me around the right people. I learned even more about this craft, and then it just continued to build on there. So to your point, yes, you have to be committed, but really be realistic on how you start to build that commitment block. I just came up with that. Build the commitment block. Where can you start now? And build on that and continuously put in some action, right? So I was watching videos, and then I was going to Toastmasters to practice it. So I was still learning and applying, and that's huge. What can you learn today and go apply today? And it could just be small, right? Get on a Facebook Live, or if you're trying to speak, especially if you're not ready to even go into a Toastmasters or go anywhere on a stage where you're in front of people, you can do lives by yourself and just talk about your topic and practice. And then that way people are seeing it or not seeing it, because lives are, you know, it's interesting, these lives, right? Like people join, people don't join, they just kind of go out there into the ether. But that's the cool thing about it, is that whoever sees it, and then whoever does it, does it. And so it's not really about them seeing it when you're starting off. It's really about you getting the confidence and learning how to speak in front of quote unquote a live audience. Because even I see the live in front of me, the little red live, like I know that someone's watching. Right? So it does change it, and the fact that Coco's watching me right now, so it changes the trajectory of how I speak, you know, how I present myself versus when I'm alone, right? So yeah, just start off. I would say, to wrap that part up, Coco, would be learn and apply. Learn something today and go apply it the same day, or at least by tomorrow. And then once you got that, learn something else and apply it. And do it in small increments. And after a while, those small increments will build and build and build. And now you have like this, you know, huge wall, this huge home, right? Whatever way you want to look at it, of all these little moments that you've stacked. And all of a sudden, like, your confidence builds, you're winning competitions, you know, all the things start to happen. And it's really cool. And you start to get this support. People start to see you and appreciate you and want to be connected with you. They want to start having you come and speak at their events, at their, you know, in front of their teams, whatever it is, because of just that learning and applying that you do for yourself.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I call it like reps, right? You just need to get the reps in.
Yeah,
and right, exactly. It's the same as the gym. You know, I'm proud of the muscle that I have built in the last years.
Coco, I love it. Yes, I see your videos.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same. It's the same idea. Same idea. You just need to go to the gym. Go to the whatever gym it is. It's a physical gym, mental gym, or a speaking gym. And it is. You need they're saying like 10,000 hours, not necessarily, right? But meaning that the idea is the same, right? You need to have that numbers of repetition to get better at something, to be good at it, great at something. And then the faster you do it, right? The more reps you do in a day, the more reps you do in a week, then you can accelerate. You can accelerate the growth, right? Because we have done so many reps, right? I have done last 3 years, I have done 100 speeches. 100 speeches in 3 years. When average Toastmasters, and they have maybe 3 years, they have done 10, 15 speeches. So I've done like almost 10 times. And then that's why I'm able to just like, oh, wow. People think, oh, wow, Coco, you have some special talent. I'm like, are you kidding me? Me? No, right? You saw me 3 years ago. You're like, this girl to today? No freaking way, right? And but it is because the willingness to put the reps in can be boring, right? Can be boring. That's why it's so important to have a support network, to find a friend, right? Like Leticia, that we're supporting each other. The moments of we don't feel like doing the work, we talk to someone, right? We get inspired again, and also
100%.
right, get inspired. And then also just because sometimes I need to meet you, or meet my coach, or meet someone. It's like, oh, I need to do the work. I need to do the work, because right, there are times like I don't feel like doing it, but because there's some accountability there, external stuff there, it's like I have to. Same thing with the contest, because there's a deadline. It's like this day is happening. It's like, okay, I need to do the work now.
Accountability is huge. When I know I'm going to get on our Zoom calls with Coco, I'm like, okay, I got to be ready, right? Or with anybody, it just puts this little effort into you. It gives you this spark of motivation to be like, okay, I have to, in a sense, perform, right? I have to be ready. And so that was very helpful. And also, one of the things, two things about the boring part when it comes to, you know, staying committed was one, actually another coach of mine told me, is like, the success is in the boring parts. It's all the boring things that we do day after day after day after day. That's actually where you get the success from. It's not whatever the getting on stage, right? The getting on stage part. Like That's the
The
that, that is
result.
the
That's the
that's
result of
that's
the
the
boring part.
result, right? Yeah, but it's that's the time you get to quote unquote play, but it has to be boring. Like if it's boring, I kind of look at it like, oh, this is a sign that I'm on the right track because this is so boring. But to the boring part is what I did when I was watching the videos, and I still do because I still watch videos, is I habit stack. So speaking of getting in the gym and working out, that's when I was watching the videos. So as I was working out, I was watching the videos. So now I'm not just committing to one thing, I'm committing to two things. One, my physical fitness, my workouts, but then I was watching these videos at the same time, getting this knowledge in. And so instead of just having music on or just something random on, I'm like, okay, I'm watching videos that are actually valuable to me as I'm working out. So, and when we're working out, we're moving. So we're actually retaining that information in a different way as well. And those videos would get me motivated. Not only was my workout motivating me, but now I was watching these videos. I'm like, oh, that's how you add humor, or oh, that's how you can tweak the story, or oh, that's how you make them, connect more or whatever. Like, okay, that's so cool. And then I would go and write it down and continue. So that's another form too of like habit stacking, so that maybe it's not so quote unquote boring, or
But you
you
can
let go
make
of the
it
excuse.
more
Yeah,
interesting, right?
more
It's all
interesting
in the
and
mind. At the end of the day, it's all in the mind.
all in the
This is
mind.
that really exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
And
Yeah. Speaking of, go
oh
ahead.
no, I just wanted to kind of piggyback on the title of your book, which I love, Unchecking the Boxes. Like I love that. So, where area, like I want to invite your audience to think about, right? Like what areas in your life do you have to uncheck the box, right? What areas were you told like, okay, you have to do this, this, and this to be successful, and kind of like wipe all that off and be like, no, 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 right? Like uncheck them and kind of go the opposite direction. And I feel like that's something I did as well. Is like for so long I thought I had to do things a certain way because I was told or conditioned. And now as I continue to learn this craft and speaking, I'm like, oh, I don't have to do, I get to do it my way. Yes, there's some things that you learn that are valuable to making your presentation impactful and unforgettable and all that. But then but you don't have to do it the way that you're told. You get to change it. You get to do it your way. And I just love that I love the unchecking the boxes, because so many of us have felt like we needed to check boxes in everything that we're doing. And now we're getting permission to, no, I'm going to uncheck all those and do it my way, and create my own boxes that work for me.
Yes, 100%, 100%. Yeah, I just want to give a little bit of a hack of my own stacking.
Oh, please, yes.
So
I could use a hack.
yeah, one way that I rehearse when I practice my speeches is that when I walk my dog. That's the actually it's like a triple benefit. I realize now it's like a triple benefit. One is I'm walking my dog, right? It is like I need to walk her anyways. And second, it is that I get to rehearse my speech when I'm walking. And third, it is that that's what Patricia Fripp, she practices her speech when she's on treadmill.
Yeah.
Because when you move your body, it's like when you sit still versus when you move, the energy is different, especially when you speak on stage, as you know, right? Energy level is higher. The energy level is higher, and then there's movement, right? When you're on stage, you don't just stand still. We move from one side of the stage when the other side of the stage is almost mimicking this whole like speaking environment while I'm walking. And that's the best place for me to practice my speech, is like walking my dog.
Yes. See, and I know that from Patricia Fripp too. And I'm like, oh, I have to do it on a treadmill, and I have done it. But see, you've even inspired me. I'm like, oh, I can go for actual walks.
Yeah.
And do it. Like I don't have to just be on this machine. Like I could just go outside. So yeah, it's a triple threat.
Better.
I get to be outside.
Nature.
Yep. I get to do my walk, which is another form of movement, and I'm practicing my presentation. So yeah, I love that. And yeah, if as a presenter, if that's something you're looking to do, it helps you to embody your presentation, embody your speech, because you don't want to memorize it. You want to embody it. You know, it's your stories, it's your wisdom. And yes, there's some structure that should be there, but it should be still natural and flowy of you and who you are. And so I love that. Yes, I'm going to start doing, especially as I'm preparing for this regionals last story standing, I'm going to be going on a lot more walks and and
Yeah.
practicing. So I love
Yeah.
that. See, Coco's already inspired me just doing this. So thank you.
Yeah. I have one last point before that. I really wanted to piggyback on what you just said earlier about unchecking the boxes, right? And I feel like this is very much tied also to the work that you're doing in mindfulness on checking box, because really checking the boxes is really no mindfulness, right? You just follow the expectations of what others, the societal family expectations is autopilot, right? We're not examining the actual, or whether it's working for me or not, right? Whether I really aligned with me or not, whether it really make me feel like energizes me or not. None of that. It's just like, okay, this is what I should do. I just go ahead, do it. Dead man walking, right? Kind of like emotion, just kind of that thing. But really unchecking the boxes is intentional, right? It's intentional. How can you be intentional? You have to be mindful, right? You need to be connect with your body, right?
Yep.
Connect with yourself and checking with yourself. Hey, how do I feel? How do I feel? Does this sit well with me or not? Right? If it's aligned with me, sit well with me, I do it. If not, no, let me uncheck the whole thing. Right?
Yeah.
It's so like tied to mindfulness. It's huge. It's the foundation of it. If you don't have that mindfulness, like no way. You just keep rolling, on a hamster on a wheel, just keep spinning, and then you checked all the boxes and exhausted, and you're like, what the heck? So this is life all is about.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I would so agree with that, Coco. Yeah. Mindfulness is definitely unchecking the boxes because you become more aware of yourself. You get more clarity on what you actually want, what you actually don't want. You become aware of everything. Like your senses open up, your emotions open up. Your perception of yourself and your perception of the world, opens and expands. And when you realize that there's really no boxes to check, there's nothing. It's just, you get to just live so fully, so authentically when you are more mindful of who you are and what you're here to do in this world. Because, we're not here to just go to a job and pay bills and raise some kids and run some errands and cook meals for a family and then die. You know what I mean? Like life is so much more than that. And, everything I just said are the boxes, right? That most people think they need to check. And it's like, no, you don't have to do any of that if you don't want to. You get to choose. And the more people practice mindfulness and realize like, okay, what is it that I'm actually here to do? And what fills my cup? You realize that like, there's no boxes to check. There's no structure to go by. It's just live life and do it fully and authentically and have fun with it. Like, how can we have fun with everything that we do? That's what I remind myself every day of, like, everything I'm doing is fun. Checking my emails, so much fun, because there's so much fun emails in my inbox, right? Everything is just so much fun. And so
can make it fun, right? It's all about how you see it. You can see it as a dread, or you can see it as a fun. Like, hey, which one you choose?
Yeah. And I recommend you always not, and I'm speaking to you, Coco, but everyone listening, is choose fun. Because it just makes life so much easier. If you're dreading it and it's daunting or it sucks, then it's going to be dreading and sucks. It's going to be that way.
100%.
But if you can find the fun in it, then it gets to be fun, and you get to ignite a different type of emotion and feeling within you.
100%. I can just use this book marketing, book pre-sale campaign as example. Before I started, I saw it as a threat. I was like, oh my God, 300 copies. Oh my God, how I'm going to do that? Oh my God, there's so much, falling up to this. I'm like, this threat. And I just felt so heavy and didn't feel like doing it. And then at one point, I turned into fun. I said, how can I make it fun? Right? How can I make it joyful and then like a celebration? See that joy and celebration. And versus like, I have a goal to hit, I have a pressure. No. And then things that switch, and since that shift, and then everything is different. I just made it fun, right? Like doing this is fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like a party.
Yeah. And
I
the fact
invited,
that you're inviting your friends to
yes,
join you in on this celebration and join you in on this
exactly.
campaign. So
Yes,
so you're not alone
alone.
doing it. Um, that's so important, you know.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
yeah, so
Exactly.
and we all get to enjoy this process with you and get to share in this celebration with you and help you
Mm-hmm.
you know, launch this campaign, help you promote your book.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, I'm just sharing this live now. I was like, I was gonna message you after this and be like, how do I get this video? I need to make sure to share it so I can share it, because I know you're hosting the live, but I want
Yes.
to be able to share it with others too, that we have this amazing conversation, get them in on this conversation, and then of course also let them know about your book so that they
Mm-hmm.
can anticipate, order it, you know,
Mm-hmm.
pre-order your
Yes.
copy, all the
Yes.
things.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, so thank
Yes.
you for allowing me to be a part of this celebration, part of this campaign with
Yes.
you.
For
And I've
sure.
been on the journey with you behind the scenes, watching you come up with different titles and come up with the book. And so yeah, this is just even more beautiful and full circle to now like have
Mm-hmm.
this conversation with you about it,
Yes.
and
Yes.
share this with the world,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, help you now get it out there so more and more people can read your story, and so that they can make the transformations in their life the way that you have, but they'll make theirs in the way that they need to and are meant to.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much. So last one point out, it is exactly on celebration, meaning that so how to stay on course, of this doing this hard work and have this goal in mind, whatever that is. It is really celebrate the wins. Celebrate the wins, right? It doesn't have to be only celebrated when you won the first place.
Right.
No, right? It's like every day celebrate the fact that I just just did a speech or just like wrote a speech, right? That's celebrate. Or celebrate that the fact that I rehearsed 5 times, or just celebrate that I learned something new. I celebrate every time I go to Toastmaster and practice something,
Yeah.
right? Every single time, celebrate like one small win a day to help you stay on your course.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you just only chase that big goal, you not necessarily reach it. You may not, right? It takes a while for you to reach it, right?
Yeah.
But then how do you sustain this momentum? How do you also just sustain this motivation along the way?
Yeah.
It is to celebrate that small win every day. You really just like celebrate yourself. It's like, oh, you know what? I showed up, right? I showed up to this thing, and I am courageous. I took a brave action, even though I felt really uncomfortable. I did it, just that, and that just will sustain that momentum. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. Yes. Celebrating your wins. You know, it's funny. I entered into the Last Story Standing last year, and I prepared for it. I actually had friends come over and like sit as my audience, because I didn't know how we were supposed to film this video, because last year we submitted videos even at the chapter level. And so I did that, and then I heard nothing back, and then all of a sudden a winner was announced, and so it was not me last year. And to your point, I was so proud of myself, and so I celebrated that I just entered into the competition. I never would have done that probably 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And I celebrated that it wasn't about winning. It was just about like, let me just try this. Let me just put myself out there.
Out
And
there,
I was just
exactly.
beginning to like learn about how to tell stories. And so there's definitely a difference between last year and the story I told and how I told it versus this year, the preparation I put in, the story I chose, all those different things. But that moment last year is just as worth celebrating and highlighting than just like it is this year, because I could not have I couldn't be where I am now,
without
whether I won or didn't win, without that moment. that moment of like, oh, let me just put myself out there. And one, you have to pay to enter into this
Yeah.
competition. So now you're it's time, energy, and money. And it's not a lot of money, but still money's money, right? And so so I celebrated that. I was so proud of myself because that just showed how much I've grown. That
Yes.
showed how much I was determined to like learn to do this. And that's when I was at like the very, very baby stage of it. And when we do that, right, it allows us to look back. You know, when being someone who teaches, speaks on, and is all about mindfulness, the whole idea of mindfulness is to be present in the now, right? We're not thinking
Yep.
about the past or the future. However, if we are going to think about the past, right, it's not going, oh, let me forget my past, let me not think about it. It's about not going into the past regretting and having guilt trips and being a victim of what happened, right? It's about going into the past and using that as your compass, as your map to see how far you've come along. So when I think about the past, I'm like, wow, look at all those milestones, all those moments that happened in my life that I can celebrate in the moment. It's important for us to celebrate in the moment, and also to celebrate, you know, when you reach a certain point in your life, to be like, wow, look at all that I did to bring me to this point. So yeah, take moments to celebrate your wins, because that's where you're really learning. Every commitment, every effort you're putting in every day, big or small, that's getting you closer to something bigger. And as Coco said, you may not even actually reach the set out goal that you put out there in the beginning. That just maybe was something you needed as a guiding light, as your lighthouse, as your North Star, to get you going on the path to actually get to where you're meant to be. And you'll learn that, you know, the pivots or the change of path that you need to take as you start to take steps towards whatever it is that you set out for. But if you don't take steps towards anything, you're not going to be guided anywhere. You're just going to stay stuck. You're going to be in the same place you are. So like, take the steps and celebrate each step that you take, because it counts. Even if it doesn't seem like it counts, even if you're not getting the ROI, even if you're not seeing the result, you know, even if you're still stumbling on your words, or in Toastmasters you're using I've said so many times today in this conversation, right? Like, just keep going, because you know, it's that practice, it's that showing up that really counts. Because if you don't show up, then nothing's going to change. Nothing's, you know, you're going to be where you are. And if you're okay being where you are and not continue to grow and evolve, that's cool. But if you want to grow and evolve, you got to take steps and celebrate them along the way, because you deserve that. We all deserve that.
We all deserve that. Absolutely. And actually, a lot of times, you actually going to reach beyond where you even imagined.
Yeah.
I couldn't have imagined where I am today when I started this journey, not speaking or not speaking, just transformation journey 3.5 years ago. I would not have imagined I would be launching a book by now.
Yeah.
I would be able to speak with so much confidence, just show up as this person who in general just doesn't give a shit about what other people think of me. Right? I could not have imagined where I am today. Right? But I really just focus on taking that step right in front of me, taking that step right in front of me while I'm having a North Star in my mind. But really where I'm reaching, I'm shooting way beyond where I was aiming at that point, right? So it's like, that's the beauty of this journey. That's just the beauty of this journey. And then have friends like Leticia, the supportive friends along the way, and just make it fun and celebrate it along the way. That's what life is all about. Because at the end, when we lie in our deathbed, however many years from now, and you look back, wow, it's like, wow, I lived a life that worth living.
100%.
Yeah. And with that, I thank you, my dear friend, and I'm so proud of you just to be alongside with you walking on this journey, and to see how much you have grown, how much you have transformed, and we keep supporting each other. I'm just so grateful for that.
Yes, and congratulations, Coco. 150 books, 130 books?
120 now. I'm hoping to reach 150 by Monday.
Okay, let's do this. Congratulations, Coco. 120 pre-sold copies. That's amazing. I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy for you. Everyone, make sure you go check out her website. Go see what this book is about. It's going to be transformative. I already know. I've gotten little sneak peeks. I know Coco's story. I know her passion behind writing this book, and wanting to be able to take her pain and turn it into passion, turn it into something that you can take a few pages literally out of her book and see how you can apply what she's done in her life to have your own transformation. So check out the website, grab your copy, and let's celebrate Coco and celebrate ourselves today.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you again. Thank you, everyone who's watching. I think we have Barbara, our friend. Is that your friend or my friend? I'm not
sure. But hi.
Hi, exactly. Isn't it fun? Like going live is pretty fun, right?
Yes, I love it.
Even more,
I love it.
You know, we did a podcast together. I feel like this is even more fun than doing podcasts.
Yes, right.
The energy is different, right?
Coco's going to do lives every day now.
She's 100%. Yeah. I am actually been doing live every day. And
when's your next live? When's your next one so they can catch it? When's your next one here on Facebook?
Next live, I do it on weekend too, but weekend I'm not sure the time. But every weekday is noon Eastern time at 12 p.m.
Okay. Yes. Well, make sure you guys stay tuned to see when her next live is.
Exactly. Also have special guests next week. I have also 3 special guests join me. And yes. Okay, thank you again, Leticia. I'm going to call you afterwards.
Okay.
And have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, everyone.
You too. Bye.